So we're checking in with Quincy Ward 3 City Councilor Ian Kane to get the rundown on how the Quincy COVID-19 writing competition went. It started back in early May. And Ian, here we are at the end. How are you?
Yeah, I'm well, Joe. Thank you for having me, and thank you for having all the students on today. The writing competition went extremely well. It was more than I ever imagined that it would be, and with 821 submissions that we received from what are there, some odd 9,000 students in the city, I think that's a pretty good ratio. And it was of course very difficult to wean that pool down to the 9 winners that we have today, but it certainly was a pleasure having the opportunity to read all of the pieces that were submitted by each of the students. So I congratulate everyone who submitted a piece. But especially, it was great. We had a chance to meet all of the winners on Tuesday. I went around and delivered the prizes to each of the students, and my parents came along, and they were our photographers. And so it was just a great chance to be able to put a face to the words on paper. And we realized, how special each of these students is in their own way, in their own very unique way, which, I guess connects to the fact that their pieces stood out.
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to hearing their pieces. I hope folks will stay tuned because I have all the kids read their actual pieces for you here at the QATV and get a sense for who they are and where they go to school and what they're feeling during this really unprecedented time in our lives during this pandemic. Were you surprised at the response, Ian?
I was totally surprised. I was blown over, but it was a very pleasant surprise. And, what is special about this is the first time that anyone outside of themselves who wrote these pieces will hear them. So we haven't released any of them on paper yet. We wanted to have a chance for them to present their work themselves. And hopefully, over time, we'll be able to release them for more folks. So it's a really special opportunity for the students today to share their own work.
Oh, that's great. We're happy to be able to provide that platform. And there are real cash prizes behind this, and there are sponsors that stepped right up, right? Talk a little bit about that.
There were. We actually, probably in about a week, we got together a small group of dedicated individuals and organizations from around the city. I'm just going to read their names off now. Mr. George Burke, no stranger, Quincy Zone City Councilor, former district attorney. Mayor Koch was kind enough to step up for contribution. Feenan Financial Group, Excess Brokers, Mr. Brian Riddell, Mr. Paul Adamson, E.L. Barrett and Company, City Council President Nina Liang, as well as City Councilor Brad Cole, who's also a candidate for Norfolk County Treasurer, the Quincy Education Association, and Ward 3 Zone, Ward 3 Neighborhood, Wollaston Hills Neighborhood Association, as well as the Montclair Wollaston Neighborhood Association were very kind. So we had a pool of $10,000 that we distributed amongst the 3 categories: elementary, middle, and high school. And so, I hope that each of the students who won are going to put those cash prizes in some sort of bearing account that can accrue interest over time.
Yes, it's a good start to their college funds for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And what was the kind of the criteria for the pieces? What did the kids actually have to do?
So we asked for pieces. We asked for stories, essays, or poems of under or about 500 words, and that was really the only criteria. We wanted to understand how people perceived this experience of the COVID-19 pandemic and how they were feeling. This sort of just came about in a conversation with a neighbor that I had where the neighbor expressed that she had hoped that students were somehow cataloging or categorizing their experiences during this pandemic, and I said, I highly doubt that they are, but I'd love to give people an opportunity to do so. And that's how this came about. So, and we were really looking for originality and creativity. And when you hear these pieces read, you'll understand why they were chosen.
Sure. 821 submissions. So will they all be kind of cataloged somewhere and archived?
Yeah, the organization was a labor of love, even just organizing the submissions and categorizing them to just get them organized to read them and to decide. So, we'll certainly, I started a document with all of the winners from the competition, and we'll hope to have that glossed up with some of the pictures that we all took together on Tuesday of this week. And, I'm not sure how we'll distribute that. We'll certainly distribute it to the students and to our sponsors. And then, we'd love to make a broader array of the stories available to folks. And I'm just not sure how we're going to package that up yet, but I'd love to be able to package it up in some sort of book that we could, either offer to sell and then sort of fund the next iteration of the writing competition.
Sure. Just another, I think, positive that's come out of this whole situation as we learn as we go. And I bet you there's a lot of proud parents out there right now of these children.
Oh, absolutely. We met most of them on Tuesday, and we could see how beamingly proud they were of all of their children.
So we're going to hear them, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay, let's get right to it.
Okay. So this is in the order that I met each of the students the other day. So first, we're going to lead off with Dustin Baker, and Dustin will introduce himself, but from Quincy High School, 12th grader. Dustin is a published author already. As I said, recently graduated from Quincy High School. Will attend UMass Amherst in the fall to study creative writing. As the third place winner in the high school category, the story is What We Owe to Each Other.
Hi, my name's Dustin Baker. As you said, I'm a senior at Quincy High, and this is called What We Owe to Each Other. Things have changed, but I still get up every morning. I still leave for work. I still walk out my front door. I still wait at the streetlights. Wish I was somewhere else. Wish there was someone with me, and I've always been someone consumed by anxiety. But it's not me I'm worried about. And it's not only you that you need to be worried about. And no matter how you think about the world, it's not just your life you're risking. The risk for your favorite stores to reopen could very well be the lives of your niece, your nephew, your sister, your brother, your grandma, your best friend's dad. And I'm not saying that to be inflammatory. It's just, I don't know how else to get you to realize that there are real people dying. And while the global realization that we all do share the same world is delayed, I know what you're focused on. It's all about your haircut, or the economy, or the beach days, and everything you're missing, instead of the lives around you. And as much as our recent generation loves to say, I don't owe you anything, there is something we all owe to each other, and it's a respect for our welfare. It's making sure we aren't responsible for each other's deaths. It's a promise that we will care about the lives of human beings. And you'd think we'd learn from the history books, but it's hard for us to think about ourselves in that context. I mean, we're just too smart to repeat the mistakes of the past, and they were so different than us. Didn't know all that we know, but look at how we act anyways, willing to risk people's lives if it means you can take off the mask. And I believe those are the complaints we are hearing. Not the complaints of the homeless who have no shelter in which to shelter in place. Not the complaints of those who lost their source of income. Not the complaints of the Navajo Nation with the highest rate of infection, with the least access to health care, and these people are dying. And the people with most risk aren't even being heard over you minimizing, saying it's not a big deal, saying all the lives we might lose are worth it, not realizing that what they are willing to lose is someone's family, someone who had plans, someone who had a future, someone like me, someone like my friends, like my parents, or yours. And maybe the hard thing about this is that it's not all about you. And I know we all love our individuality, but we live in a community, and for society, you need to have at least a little bit of empathy. And mainly, I'm just angry and tired of the way things are going, knowing I can't convince everyone to contemplate this seriously. Thank you.
Thank you, Dustin. That was amazing.
That was incredible. Thank you so much, Dustin. All right, so we go right into Kyle Tellini. Kyle is finishing 8th grade at Atlantic Middle School. He's a musician. He's a drummer. He's played Porch Fest with his band, The Sprints. He's a songwriter. He's going to attend Quincy High School in the fall. First place in the middle school category. This is the Iron Sword.
Hi, I'm Kyle Tellini. I go to Atlantic Middle School, and this is the Iron Sword. Space, a thing that lies inside of us all. What's there? What's inside? Emptiness? No, surely not. So it must be filled then, but with what? Childlike wonder, deep, grave thoughts, or maybe anything we choose. That's what I'm here to try and explain. Each and every one of us has our own space inside of us, but it's what it is filled with that defines the person. It can be filled with the frustration you feel as your entire world slips away. It can be filled with the pure, warm-hearted joy you feel on that perfect summer's night. And as we have recently found, it can be filled with that true loneliness, that loneliness that occupies so many of us, maybe even you, right this second. The source of this loneliness and despair is not this pandemic itself, as most think. It is the effects of this pandemic. It is the lack of seeing other people. It is the same day over and over again. And it is having nearly all the normal parts of your life ripped away one by one that fills us with this emptiness. This pain or monster, let's call it, tries to take over your space, the space that defines you. It starts to surround you and fills your inner space with its suffering, loneliness, and despair. Then, caught firmly in its grasp, you become those feelings and they become you. However, there is a common misconception about your space. This idea that the person it fills cannot affect it. He or she cannot impact it at all. But that is not true. Only you can choose how to fill your own space. This now leads back to this pain, this monster that is holding much of the world and its people strongly in its grasp, a grasp that seems inescapable. But there is a way out. This iron sword, the thing that has the power to save us all, and the thing that this sword is purely derived from, is hope. If we can manage to fill our spaces with hope, everyone will come to the realization that we all need. We will become aware that this troubling time will be gone and over one day. We will appreciate everyone and everything we still have with us. We will be able to be happy and be joyful, even in this time of great pain. We will be able to show and express that happiness, and we can spread it faster than even this virus can move to others who need it. And most importantly, we can abolish this pain that terrorizes us. Believe it or not, it is possible. So let's stand, wielding our weapon of hope, and defeat this monster, this pain, once and for all. For with that sword, much less 7 billion of them, the monster stands no chance.
Thank you so much, Kyle. Next, we have Jack Herlihy. Jack is an Atherton Howe 5th grader. His piece was inspired and encouraged by his teacher, Miss Campo. He lives in Howe's Neck and will attend Broad Meadows in the fall. At 3rd place in the elementary division, his piece is called Distance.
Hi, my name is Jack, and I'm going to share with you the piece that I wrote called Distance. Here it goes. Distance. Picture a dome outside of your home. You can ride in your car, but you can't get far. As Yoda would say, bored we are. Everyone is quarantined and places shut down. Everybody has a friend, especially me. I know everybody wants to be free, but we might have to wait a while. You'll see. Things to do, some things are new. Google Meets, less cars on the streets. Masks on your face, can't go anyplace. Virtual school isn't as cool. Movies released on TV, but we can't see them in 3D. We're all doing our part to stop the spread of the virus, staying safe, hope in my heart.
Thank you very much, Jack. That was beautiful. I have a true respect for people who can write poetry, Ian, because I have not got that skill.
Well, I'm sure any of these students could teach you a thing or two on writing in general and poetry.
I'm sure.
Thanks so much, Jack. So next up, we have Cassie Gordon. Cassie is a 10th grader currently at Quincy High School. She's a member of the poetry club at the high school, which was the encouragement and inspiration for this poem. She's obviously a poetry enthusiast, lives in Howe's Neck, and at 2nd place in the high school category. This piece is called The Year is 2020.
Hi, my name is Cassandra Gordon. I am a 10th grader at Quincy High School, and my poem is called The Year is 2020. The year is 2020, and it started out all right. Okay, that was a lie, but I wanted to be polite. The year is 2020, and it started in disarray. With wildfires, floods, and earthquakes, the earth has made us pay. We felt that nature was mad at us for poisoning her and making her sick, for filling her skies with pollution and loading her seas with plastic. After all that we had done to her, it appeared it was now her turn, but surprisingly enough, she was not to be our biggest concern. Unleashed upon the world, affecting our old and our young, was a virus that had no care for who you are or where you come from. Some know it as the coronavirus, others as COVID-19, and made people stop and think and improve their hygiene. By the eyes of much, people noticed how contagious it could be, so they locked themselves away and wished for normalcy. First, students were sent home, and work was followed soon. What should we do now? I've already slept till noon. They were afraid to go out, and with many places shut, they did tasks on their own, be it remodeling or a haircut. Some people fled to the internet, and others went to the store. They got all the materials they needed for the projects and the masks that they wore. Rooms were cleaned and painted, and puzzles were constructed, and from Zoom with online classes, the children were instructed. Some businesses found ways to cope with internet and social distance. People were able to see each other, if only with a little persistence. They were finally able to sleep in or go for that long run, and now that they had the time, they could watch the setting sun. So now the month is June, and quarantine is winding down, but I still can't help but wonder, am I alone when I frown? In these past few trying months, home by the serene seashore, I have spent time with my family, whom I've actually grown to adore. I have talked to my grandparents too, though they are in different states, and with the help of technology, I have seen my cousins and classmates. I wanted to check in on them and see how they feel. An Easter spent without egg hunts or hugs, definitely a bit surreal. Our house and my room have changed quite a lot. My family eats together and laughs together, and I mean, it's just a thought, but I don't want to go back to normal, or the way it was before, because my world is nicer now, despite being shaken to the core. The year is 2020, and it started in disarray, but with the bad comes some good. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. The year is 2020, and so should be a hindsight. Sometimes it takes disaster for the people to unite. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cassandra. That was awesome. You really summed it up in a nutshell.
Thank you, Cassandra. That was great. Okay, next we have Ganilo Quintos, Broadmeadows 8th grader. The piece was actually an assignment for class, which was repurposed for the competition. Lives in Adams Shore. Ganilo is going to attend Archbishop Williams High School in the fall. And third place in the middle school category. His piece is called A Violent Virus.
My name is Ganilo Quintos. I'm an 8th grader at Broadmeadows Middle School, and my piece is named A Violent Virus. This virus is killing, stopping us from chilling, keeping us on our toes, afraid of those. News articles and speakers, it's all making us weaker. Parents are worrying, rushing to stores purchasing. People are dying, loved ones are crying. We're all at home praying for those who are suffering, leaving people helpless and homeless and jobless. People are broke. COVID-19 ain't no joke. A cure not found, leaving people buried 6 feet underground. Give a moment of silence due to this virus's violence. Thank you.
Thank you, Ganilo. That was awesome. Kyra Lee is up next. Central Middle School 8th grader, inspired by all that's happening in the world right now. Going to North Quincy High School in the fall. Second place in the middle school category with the piece entitled Fading Memories.
Hi, my name is Kyra Lee, and I'm an 8th grader at Central, and my piece is called Fading Memories. As we once knew it, the story of our lives were as radiant as the morning sunshine, glimmering as it brightened the world. Its light chased away the shadows and confined them to near corners where luminosity could not reach. The life as we knew it would remain only temporarily. COVID instantaneously captured our sunrises and transformed our world as we knew it into continual bloom. It was simply a joy. A few milliseconds, we were surrounded by our own accord on the screen. We worked for COVID, seizing our previous sources of happiness, managing to force some time in the first tornado. The warmth of sunlight seemed never-ending, constant, an eternal presence that we familiarized ourselves to the point where the notion of its rays ever retreating became nonsense. Nothing out of the wildest depths of imagination and fiction, where nothing could truly test into reality. What was once thought to be a figment of fantasy is taking shape as something very real. The sun finally sets as its illuminated glow retreats, leaving shadows to climb out of their borders and trespass into uncovered blackness. The moment of our lives that seemed as perpetual as the sun and as impenetrable as its light begins to fade along with the sunset. The blazing infernos of red and orange and pink light up the sky like a wildfire. What's left is nothing but ashes and agony, dismay and despair, people mourning loss and praying that they will not suffer the same fate as those around them have had to endure. People that take advantage of the hopelessness and confusion for money and power and fame. The people that believe that this is all a lie. The people that think that pointing fingers will do any good in solving the chaos the pandemic has plunged them in. Sports, school, being face-to-face with strangers with no barriers or masks, memories of our friends, sharing bright grins glowing with bliss, hearing a chorus of tinkling laughter fill the air. The much more mundane task of being able to go out for a taste of fast food or a journey through the grocery store. These are all but fleeting moments, things so normal to us before, but now seemingly just a remnant of the past. Thank you.
Thank you, Kara. That was beautiful.
Okay, next we have Kirtana Apala, who's a fourth grader at Clifford Marshall. Kirtana recently moved to Quincy from Atlanta, Georgia, and her family's originally from Hyderabad in India. She aspires to play basketball so she can take advantage of her height. And at second place in the elementary school division, her piece is titled A Little Girl's Story.
Hi, my name is Kirtana Apala. This is a little girl's story. I stand on our apartment floor. I slowly head to our door. I wipe and wipe until I'm clean. Well, we are in quarantine. It started off well because of no school. Soon enough, it wasn't so cool. On my birthday, I was alone. To my mind, no video on YouTube and Netflix is unknown. I am bored out of my mind. Can't the world be more kind? If only it would let me go run on the street. I would run like I have wings on my feet. I would play with my friends. Oh, never mind, I can't get near. With this thought, I shed a tear. The world has changed. There is nowhere to go and no one to see. People say there might be a cure, but there is no guarantee. I still believe positivity is the key. So please, hear my plea. I beg you not to go outside so we can win this World War III.
Thank you, Kirtana. Okay, next we have Hunter Wood, who's a fifth grader at Southwest Middle School. He's a sports and writing enthusiast and has combined his interests in each to write a book about going back in time to play basketball with Michael Jordan. He's going to attend Central Middle School in the fall, and at first place in the elementary school category, his piece is titled Finding the Extraordinary in the Ordinary.
Hi, my name is Hunter, and my piece is called Finding the Extraordinary in the Ordinary. As the pandemic drove the world inside, my adventurous heart kept exploring outside. Even though we are supposed to be inside, experts say that going outdoors is healthy. Spring is a beautiful time when the birds chirp, flowers bloom, and everything is green again. This quiet time encourages my imagination and keeps my mind open. Going outside helps me stay active, creative, and happy. This time at home and in nature helps my creativity to explode. With more time by myself and less time in a car, I had to find ways to keep my restless spirit busy. First, I designed a face mask and a bag, even sewing it myself. I read outside in the hammock. Eventually, my eyes drift off the page. I observe the changes in my surroundings and how different the seasons really are. I drew what I saw, but I wanted something more realistic. I started taking pictures with my mom's old camera. I learned about the angles, light, and using different lenses. I took pictures of things I would take for granted and how extraordinary they are. Spring is a great time for being outside with family. There are trails perfect for walking our dog. In the woods, I see nature close up like animals do. Hiking sharpens my senses. My family also gardens, so I built an egg carton greenhouse. Starting seeds may take a while, but it's worth it. I guess it's like having to wait until it is safe again. Just like plants, our world will be beautiful again. My favorite activity is biking. My mom and I love riding around the neighborhood. It makes us laugh to race each other to get ice cream. Athletes use this time at home to improve their game. Even though I can't play sports with my friends, I still practice. I'm lucky to have a basketball game. Since I'm by myself, I pretend I'm playing crucial moments in the NBA. My favorite play is when I'm Kawhi Leonard trying to shoot over Joel Embiid to win the finals. Bonk, bonk, swish. The crowd goes wild as I'm lifted on my teammate's back. In my imagination, anything is possible. Baseball is a game of repetition, so I practice with my dad. My grandmother calls baseball players the boys of summer. I can't wait to step back on the green diamond. These tough times may not feel hopeful, but I see springtime bringing happiness. The first step is to observe nature, discover your creativity, and be at peace with yourself. It is equally important to spend time with your family, celebrating what you have. I look forward to celebrating Memorial Day and the 4th of July. Both holidays celebrate bravery, independence, family, and America. These are some of the things that we need now. So I'll follow my curiosity, grab my camera and face mask, looking for the extraordinary in the ordinary.
Thanks, Hunter. All right, last but not least, Dominique Dong, 9th grader at North Quincy High School. Inspired by the time she normally spends with her grandfather, this piece is. She plays the piccolo and the flute in both the marching band and the high school band. And as the first place category winner for high school, her piece is titled Waving Through a Phone Call.
Hi, I'm Dominique Dang. I'm a 9th grader at North Quincy High School, and this is my piece, Waving Through a Phone Call. Newspapers haphazardly lean one way and then tumble to the other. A now cool mug of tea sits on top of a stack of magazines, and a plate of bread and cheese lay unattended. Quiet music, sometimes Frank Sinatra, other times Johann Strauss, spills into the living room, accompanied by the ticks of a clock. Hidden behind a large stack of books, my grandpa and I are discussing the self-proclaimed topic of this afternoon, Van Gogh. Engrossed in the subject, I almost miss my mom poking her head from the kitchen, a signal my grandpa and I both come to understand. Placing his magnifying glass on the page and gently folding the book over, stands up, knees cracking, and walks us to the door. We pass by the cup of tea, forgotten at the moment, and the large, unread piles of newspapers that keeps my grandpa occupied when everyone is at work. Crouching down to put on my shoes, I catch a couple of words my mom says to my grandpa. Careful, let your daughters do it. It's getting worse. And I see my grandpa shrug off the news about the coronavirus with a simple shake of his head. As I leave, I catch smiling from the mudroom, and I wave until the house disappears from my view. I turn back into my seat and excitedly talk to my mom about Van Gogh, expecting us to come back next Saturday to do the same thing over again. Little did I know, a week later, the long list of unread newspapers that once sat patiently waiting shortened to one article a day, and the cup of tea, always finished a half a day later, was empty by the hour. The days consist of reading stories with the same headlines and watching the news about the same subject. More importantly, the weekly wave from the window vanished, exchanged for a 10-minute phone call about varying topics, about a request for a razor to cut his hair, and a unique story about NASA's launch with SpaceX. During these times, I wonder what would happen if he was in a nursing home, how he would continue with his life at the forefront of catching COVID-19. I look back and feel thankful for all the experiences I had with him before we couldn't see each other. Occasionally, there are times of stress because his pride and restlessness prevail over his common sense, but the lessons he taught me about perseverance, family, and determination keep me going through these times. Even though we are apart, I remember that the world will repair itself, and we will continue building on our history. And soon enough, I'll be back with a cold cup of tea and a fresh book about Van Gogh, and I'll leave with a smile and a wave. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That's wonderful, Dominique. Yeah. These are great, and these are just wonderful. So introspective, so personal, so positive in many ways, although, relaying the feelings that they were having at the time too. So you were right, just a variety of backgrounds and experiences that these kids are sharing with us. It's just great.
No, they're honest, they're deep. Each perspective is so special in its own way. And so I'm so grateful that each of you participated in reading your pieces today. It's really powerful to be able to share this with our community and with everyone who we want to share this. So congratulations again to all of you. You're all really, really talented people, and I hope that you understand that.
Absolutely. Congratulations to all of you. I'm going to put you all on a full screen view here and say hi to everybody, and good luck in the future. Everybody wave. There we go. Excellent. Ian, is this, curious, has this changed the way you will see yourself as an elected official in Quincy?
Well, you know what? It has certainly given me a perspective of how young people think, which I think is vital, because the young people are the future. So having the ability to understand how they're experiencing situations like this, but then in the context of their sort of greater time in their lives, whether in elementary, middle school, or high school, everyone has, unique experiences of their own. That was the most valuable thing to me. So certainly having an understanding from the student perspective will allow me to hopefully make better and more appropriate decisions that affect young people.
Absolutely, and I'd encourage all the kids to hang on to these pieces that you've done, for the future, because you'll look back and you'll remember them. I'm sure, and the feelings that you had when you wrote them, and also they might come in handy for a college admissions exam too. So keep that in mind too.
Yeah.
Ian, thanks so much. Thanks for putting this together.
Thank you, Joe. And I encourage all you students and ones that are listening and pay attention, keep honing that craft, keep working hard, because this is just the start, and you guys have a long way to go, but significant talents to develop too. So best wishes, and thank you again for sharing with us.
Thanks, everybody.